Alright guys, welcome back to the Trailbound YouTube page. We are doing the Last Dog Standing Race 2, LD2 is what they call it. You can see we've got a new start here based on, or different than the qualifier. We're starting on these ramps, which is pretty cool. We got a dead engine start. So you gotta admit that was a pretty cool start. I like the drop off. I like the dead engine to the drop off, and then pinning it up the Glen Hellen hill. Pretty cool start. I liked it. Jumping into this kind of fast, fire road stuff is kind of lame, but I wish they would just throw us into some rocky canyons right away. But I think maybe this helps separate the bottlenecks a little bit because, I don't know, maybe there's potential to pass people right here. But I think they're spaced out a minute apart. This race is based on time, so they time you going in, time you coming out. This guy's bike's fully upside down. I'm trying to get past him. Oh, I think that's Adam Does Dirt Bikes. Check out his YouTube. Going up that ladder bridge, last time we saw in the qualifier, someone fell off that thing. But yeah, as I was saying, this is based on time. They get your start time when you started, and they get your start time when you end, and they subtract it. So even though you're spaced out, it doesn't affect you. Whereas King of Motos, like, they started you, a minute each row behind. So it kind of screwed you up. If you're at like the third row, you'd be three minutes behind. You can see here we're already at the first bottleneck. This is quintessential Last Dog Standing, from what I hear, is the downhill bottlenecks.
Oh shit.
This looks pretty mellow on GoPro, but it's definitely steep. I'm considering walking it, but I decided to send it.
Oh God.
That was a pretty abrupt hit. My bars moved from that hip. They twisted back. Normally you do the triple clamp thing where it goes side to side, front wheel, but the actual bars like twisted back on impact. It was kind of crazy. So they're taking us back through this nonsense. Super annoying. I caught my neck on this on the first one. There's actually double the amount of tires. You can't really see it in the GoPro in my qualifying video because of the mud, so I just cut it out. But here they cut back some of the tires because people were complaining how dumb it was. But it's one of their things that they're into, the prairie dogs. So I don't know if they'll ever get rid of that. But throwing us back on the Glen Hellen motocross track. Got some wet sand here. Oh, he just missed that turn. I could see how that is. I almost made a left up there, but I'm glad I barely caught that red flag. So they're getting us into some kind of rocky stuff, which is, it's nice. It's starting to get a little bit harder. Definitely nothing too challenging. It's just, it's like a rocky single track. It's like a diamond trail, single diamond, I'd call it. Pretty fun, kind of minimal flowy, but kind of rocky. Got some poison oak in there to get you a couple days later. Back on the fire roads here in that Gas 300 EC. This is like the XCW version of the KTM. So I got this at Let's Ride in Idaho, and this bike has been super sick. I've been loving the 300 power and the gas style of power in particular. I talk about in a lot of other videos. I need to do a full review of this thing, but it has been awesome. And just got the suspension done by Deja Suspension in Montana, and it's feeling really good. Did a lot of bike prep ahead of time, getting this bike back dialed in after all the hours I've been putting on it and some of the previous hard enduro races, but she's running good now. hoping this course starts getting harder, because it's been pretty normal, kind of like a normal enduro or hair scramble type of thing. Bermed corners, dusty, single track, that sort of thing. If any of you guys have ever ridden like Halster Hills, it reminds me a lot of that, where it's just like bushed cut trails here. But we do have this kind of cool switchback section. I probably should have taken that inside line and made the pass, but it looked pretty steep, and I was a little afraid that I would have slid off that where those 2x4s were. And you can see that guy just like dove in there, like it looked really steep right here. Definitely feeling pretty out of control at this point. Just sliding the brakes. You can see I have the motor off. Using that rear wheel locked up as a brake and kind of feathering the clutch to kind of make it go or slow down, depending on what I want. Crawling through these rocks section. Pretty basic rocks, nothing too challenging that you have to hit. Just kind of like beats you up, sort of like the King of Motos style rocks where you're just kind of trudging through it. Technical here, kind of cool. It's definitely beating up the arms a little bit. You can see, I just lost her. Like I said, we're almost to the tough stuff. But I think I'm thinking like, man, I hope it just gets tougher. Hoping for some gnarly hill climbs. They definitely got some hills out here. I could see some sketchy, steep hill climbs coming up. Almost missed that turn. But thankfully I saw the yellow banner. Jumped in. Got the Trailbound pad pack on the handlebars right here. Oh, what's this guy doing? I'm not really sure what happened here. He might have like missed the trail and jumped in there or something, but it wasn't too bad of a section. It was pretty steep, I guess. It's steep enough to where I'm not starting my motor and I'm just, again, using that motor off braking technique to kind of cruise down this safely. Got a nice fresh cut with all these bushes. They cut a lot of new trails for this event. This guy got a little out of control here. Probably washed his front tire.
Oh shit.
Sorry about throwing that rock into you. Little out of control. Yeah, this guy doesn't even have long sleeves on. I feel really bad for him on this bushy stuff. He's taking it like a man, man. My arms would be so scraped up. That would hurt. Nice skid plate over there. Felt pretty cool keeping the feet on the pegs for that one. Maybe some of the trial stuff is helping a little bit with the not dabbing as much. I've been super stoked on my trials bike. downhills are kind of like you're on a bobsled ride or something. You just kind of follow as long as you keep the bike running and follow it, that kind of just shuffles you down, even though you're going kind of fast downhill. Slightly out of control feeling, but it's beat in enough that it just kind of shoots you down it. I'm sure the pros just haul through this, but I'm taking it pretty conservatively, I think. So with this race, you have to finish the lap within an hour of the first place. So I think that was Cody Webb, or maybe this race was Tristan Hart that won it. So you have to finish within an hour of his time if you want to qualify for the third main event, the LD3, and that'll be the hardest of the 3 races that we did this weekend. This is LD2. So I think this one's only an hour long or so. It's in the morning on Saturday. Kind of cool format. You get like a warm-up ride going, and then in the afternoon, if you make it, you get to do a really hard ride. So kind of makes a full day event instead of just like hammering out, 4 hours in the morning and then be done. But kind of nice having that break. That guy's hauling. You can see some of the fast guys, like they know what they're doing out here. And I'm just kind of cruising, keeping it safe. We're going through the Glen Hellen sign. That looks like the Hollywood sign. That's pretty cool that they take you through that. This is actually pretty steep. You can see like the edge just falls off right here. Taking it easy, feathering both of those brakes. Trying not to get too grabby with them, otherwise you slide out. And then we're coming up to sick hill climb finally. I was kind of looking a little hesitant, so I just went for it. As soon as you get into this rut, you can kind of get traction again and work your way up it. So not too bad. I think some people might have been struggling with that one, but it's pretty basic. Back on the track here, so now we're getting close to everyone's least favorite part of this race. Tire Mountain. So it is just, look at this cluster. There's Gabe Adilla. He's a sick photographer. Check him out on Instagram. Trying to throw their bike up this thing. I think that was my buddy Evan right there in front of me. And you're just kind of sitting waiting for an opportunity to even try to get your bike up there, because there's not really enough room for, 2 bikes to be able to hit it how you need to hit it. So I'm backing up here. I see one tire available, so I'm gonna give it a go. I feel like I practice double blips all the time. I practice big logs, like bigger logs than this, and man, I couldn't even get up it. It's just weird. I mean, the technique is that you do a wheelie, you hit your front tire right below the corner of it, and then you compress the back suspension and then pop up that back tire and then land on the top. I practice this a lot on the trials bike, but I couldn't make it work. These things are a lot taller than they look. They're a lot taller than any of the other tires that I've ridden in the past. So I'm just kind of giving up here, and I'm just gonna shuffle the bike up the thing instead of trying to throw it anymore. It's definitely hard when there's other bikes. You can see my bike barely even fits in there. I think that's Justin's TM bike. And I'm trying to wiggle my bike around. Sorry for moving your bike, Justin. So grabbing the bars and the tugger strap, just trying to muscle this gas up here. It's really a teamwork thing. everyone was sort of working on their own bikes, so I'm just trying to get my bike up until someone else is available, and then I'll team up with them. Justin giving it their old zap. So I'm working on the second one, and you pivot and got into a hole. So you can see here we're teaming up with Aaron Cox, the Dose Drugs I mentioned in the previous video. He's been hitting all the other hard enduros, so I guess we've both been on the podium, like at Grinding Stone. So I guess he's technically my main competition, but you know, these races are just about making it through it, and like, I don't know, just like trying to ride your bike through gnarly stuff. So we're teaming up here, and we're just trying to figure out how to get up together. Not too worried about placement, you know. So once we get my bike up, I'll go give him a hand. You can see we're almost to the top one. Some of the bottom ones have hay in them, so it's a little bit easier, but this top one doesn't have hay. So you don't want to get that front tire stuck in there. So basically just deadlifting the bike up. He's trying to drag it up with the Trailbound tugger, and I'm trying to lift it up. You can see a close-up of my Midas XT454 double green gummy, which I love so much. I've been running them in all the races, and they just last super long time. It's not a one race tire, but it gives you that full gummy traction like you would with those normal one race tires. So I can just run this thing for way longer than normal, and it's great traction. So walked back down. We're gonna get Aaron's bike up this. Luckily it's a 150, so
No tugger? Come on, I know a guy.
It's in my garage.
giving him crap for not having a tugger when I make tuggers. So we're gonna lift his bike up. Like I was saying, it's a 150, and you can see it's kind of interesting. They changed the pipe on the 150s for these newer years. They no longer look like a 125 pipe. They look like a 250 pipe. So it's actually pretty hard to identify other than the sound of them. You can hear they're pretty grunt. They don't have a lot of grunt. I'd like to try one, see how they feel. I haven't ridden a 150 in a while. They always had really poor jetting on all the Coonies that I rode, and I'd be curious to see what the TPI ones feel like. I bet you they feel super light, like a mountain bike.
Yeah, I think maybe need to lift it out of the hole.
Yeah, you want to go up there or no?
The top ones are super tall. So I'm using the pull the tire technique. If you like, not pull, but like rolling the tire, that's a really good technique for getting bikes up, because it's moving it forward and kind of pulling it up at the same time. See? Alright, so we're headed through the pipes. You know, Aaron caught up to me, so we're going to be going through at the same time. He started behind me, so unfortunately that means that he will beat me, but here we are through the teeter-totter, and actually my first opportunity to hit a Jersey barrier. A little sketchy, but I am stoked to finally do a Jersey barrier. I've never done one before. I've always wanted to try one. Fortunately, I have to try it in a race, but getting a little lost here. Not the best flagging, but get to go over these big culvert pipes. Luckily, they've got little ramps in them, and then we send it down to the finish line. I actually thought this was going to be the halfway point of the race. I was expecting a lot more, but I guess since it's just the second race, maybe the next one will be easier. There's my girlfriend Dylan.
Yeah. That was a bitch. I thought that was going to be the halfway point.
No, that was like...
I didn't know that was the end.
That was the end point.
Say this, if I were to drop a race next time,
That's what I hear, yeah.
there's like 2 technical sections.
Yeah, that was like single track.
That's where I passed everyone, was in that rock section. You passed me in the fast stuff.
Yeah, good job.
Waiting for 2 hours, I think, until the next final race, and we'll be back with some more coverage of that. So check out the next YouTube video. If you like these videos, give them a thumbs up, subscribe, write me a comment. Thanks, guys.